A woman in Oklahoma has made it her mission to take every dollar she earns as a pastor and give it to women who are in need. Pastor Ilinda Jackson oversees the Secret Place Community Church in Northeast Oklahoma City, and she donates her entire salary. And she joins us now by Skype to talk about her work in the community. Pastor Ilinda, thank you for joining us today.
Yes, thank you. And thank you so much for having me. It's awesome.
It is amazing to have you with us. I love what you're doing. You run 6 transitional homes in the city. Tell us about that.
Well, the transitional home started and sort of birthed out of the idea that Oklahoma families were really suffering, and that when moms were displaced, whether they were displaced through a set of events, whether it was drugs, whether it was alcohol, jails, DUI court, any of those things, it really sent a blow to families that caused them to really be out of sync, out of socket, out of flow, and being able to provide a way to show support, demonstrate help, began to be a pattern and a way that was extremely beneficial for women and their families, and particularly their children.
Amazing. Now, why did you decide to donate your entire salary to this work?
Well, so often when we really start talking about women and the process for it, I originally looked for ways to fund the project. But when you're talking about lives of people, and it's really hard to do a cookie cutter process because each person is completely different about what they need and how they need. Not everybody has had a drug experience. That's a little different. Not everybody has had a homeless situation or a divorce or domestic violence. And I found it difficult to horn in the kind of funding that I needed and wanted. And I felt that it was a responsibility really of the church. And so I began to model what that looked like by taking monies that the church would actually give as salary and use that to actually take care of the transitional living for those women that are coming through that process, regaining life, getting back on track, and beginning to learn how to live again and recover from sometimes traumatic events, but life events, and lend that support for their success.
That's amazing. What kind of resources do the women have access to?
We have a full-fledged program where women have the opportunity to come in. They learn about parenting. They learn about caring and loving for each other. We have where we all live together. In each of those homes, they're living as a community. And so they share meals together. They relearn or absolutely refine their gifts of home ec, learning to cook, learning to wash again, doing those things. So they have access to social skills, living skills. They have access, of course, to the church through spiritual development, learning how to love themselves again, self-help programs. And of course, we partner with community all around us in regards to job search, job training, job development, as well as substance abuse and all of those things. So we do a complete wraparound depending on each woman's need. We wrap around them what we have to offer inclusively within the program and what sits around it, resting in community. We ensure to wrap that around them as well. So it could be a gambit of things from parenting that is required by the state, on to educational things. Some of the folks need to get GEDs. We make sure that happens for them in community colleges and things of that nature. Just everything that a person would need to be successful or to have the kind of launching pad that would turn their world inside out, upside down, and give them a new normal and a new beginning.
And Pastor Ilinda, what message do you share with the women that you meet?
Incredible question. I believe that I discovered in this journey the capacity to love in ways that I believe is extremely scriptural. I didn't know that I had the depth to love until I was required to love. And sometimes it's the idea of loving the unlovable, loving those that don't know how to say thank you yet. And so the real message is that we can do all things through Christ and that he loves us perfectly and completely without any fail. That he completely loves us regardless of what has happened in our lives and what is happening in our lives.
And Pastor Ilinda, what advice would you give to those who are possibly looking to start a ministry but don't have the finances?
Number one, when I started this work, I really felt like God had given me a blueprint. So I knew it was a house. I knew it was transitional living. I knew it was community living. I knew that it was inclusive. But many times when people are looking at the grand scope, you want to see what your capacity is. In other words, what do you feel God is really saying to you for you to do? In other words, there are different pieces of the puzzle that make it work. Like we have our own clothing room. So some people may say, well, what I can do is a clothing room and I can do that with excellence. I can do that. So a clothing room works. And that's how they start. They begin with where they have the greatest amount of strength, the greatest measure of rule and influence to be successful. And that's the beginning start.
Beautiful. Pastor Ilinda Jackson, thank you so much for your time, and God bless you for the awesome work that you're doing there.
Amen. Thank you all for having me. It's amazing.
Thank you so much.